Hey folks, this is Ben back with you in the Midwest Model Shop. Alright, today's episode we're going to go ahead and do our final review of the last Zoukei-Mura model kit that I purchased up at IPMS 2024 in Madison. This is the P-51D Mustang. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to take a quick look at the book that didn't come with it, but they provide as a supplement that you can purchase, and I did. And then the one aftermarket thing that I bought besides the book was different markings. They have a decal set there. It provides 3 different markings from the box, but most importantly, Big Beautiful Doll is in there. It's my all-time favorite marking, or one of. Very fond of it, so I grabbed those right away to build this kit up this way. This kit comes with 3 different markings also. We'll take a look at those, but I want to do Big Beautiful Doll. So I'm going to put the book down for a second here. This model, I'm going to talk about a lot at the end here. I bought it because they had one on display and fully built up. You know, none of the panels were removed. It was all assembled. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that looks exactly like a P-51D Mustang. It looks exactly like one. All the proportions, all the lines, everything was there. Nothing about it looked not right or to scale. I was stunned. And it was the most affordable of the 3, which is why I went ahead and bought it. So what we're going to do today is take a quick look at the book. We'll take a quick look at the instructions. The instructions are available online. I'll provide a link down in the description on the Zoukei-Mura site directly to this airplane, so you can take a look at it on their website. And then we're going to look at most of the sprues, the ones that are most relevant. Again, I'm sure if you hunt around you can find examples of all the parts on other YouTube channels. We're not going to stare at them forever, but I want you to see the key details that are here. Then when we're done with all that, I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And don't forget to take a drink every time I say press it on. Alright folks, here we go. Here's the box to the P-51D. Fantastic per usual. What I do like is that on this one, I think you could kind of get an idea for the full, fuselage removed, what's the look underneath look. This is a great picture because you get an idea for, well, if I just remove the engine cowls and I build everything else, what am I going to see? Obviously in the cockpit and some of the wing detail. The rest of the box is your standard stuff. So before we dive into that though, let's take a quick look at the book that I got for it. And I grabbed this book because they specifically put this together, documenting how they put this kit together, right? So they both kind of go. So the first thing that's cool is on the inside they had this poster. So this poster is a collection of every single marking set that Zoukei-Mura offers for their Mustangs, which is really cool. Now obviously, like I mentioned in the beginning, I went with Big Beautiful Doll, but when I opened this up, I had a big flashback to Detroit Miss. I believe this was an old Revel kit. I built that kit several times. It was my first P-51, and it brought back a lot of memories, and so maybe down the road someday I'll go ahead and build that. But this is just a really, really cool, it's big, but a really, really cool poster. I might find a place to put up somewhere. So I think that was a really nice touch for the book. But all of these are available from Zoukei-Mura, is my understanding. Alright, we're going to quickly skim through this book. I believe it's available on their website along with a few other ones, but this one I really like because, like I said, it follows the development of this specific model, and it's full of some really great, I apologize for the glare, but really great photographs and a bunch of stuff that's in both Japanese and English, so fortunately I can understand it. So we get going here. This is what I like. So these are pictures of the model, right? And what they did, and then some of their reference photos that you can use, and some original drawings, some tech manuals, and more photos that you can utilize to put your engine together. Especially helpful stuff in the cockpit, things like that. This is, and then like here are pictures of them crawling around taking photographs of the actual aircraft that they used to reference for this model. Some functional things like the wings, their whole assembly. This, we'll see this later, this is something that was new to me. They built the wing like this. It's one single piece and then you attach it versus having your two halves. Landing gear, things like that. And then in the back here, I believe, let's see. Yes, so we have this. And basically what's happening here is this guy, I'm not going to try and say his name because I'll butcher it. He is commissioned by Zoukei-Mura to go ahead and build a version of this kit. And he finishes it with an all-natural metal finish with real metal that he ends up rubbing on. This isn't a paint job. Today, even though I'm entertained by this, AK's real metal paints, the new ones are so good, I would just go with them. It's what you're used to doing. But this is super great because you could see all the little things that he did to build the model and little extra steps and things that he took as well. So it's not just a reference book. It's kind of like a YouTube channel, only with a book. You have somebody building the model and talking about it other than me, with great reference photographs that are very large and easy to see that you can use to get through your build. So this was not too expensive, and I think this is what he's coming up with here. I think worthwhile here. Let me go back. This is some like his finished model. I mean, this guy's very talented. Again, that's a real natural metal finish. It's not painted on there. So this is a look that you could do, that you could achieve, and I think that's noteworthy. Let's see. I think that's basically it. There's some other things in the back here, different versions. I haven't delved into this too much, but you get the idea. This book I think is a really good reference for you if you're building this model, which is why I grabbed it. So anyway, available on their website, highly recommended. Now let's go ahead and get into the box. So the first thing I want to talk about is my aftermarket kit. I spent $24 on these decals, and in it you get Big Beautiful Doll, Miss Steve, and the Ridge Runner 3. These are the three marking sets you get, and they're nice. They supplement the kit markings. So obviously these are the parts we'd be looking at for Big Beautiful Doll, and then this is the rest of those along with the other two aircraft. They're printed very nicely, and then you get a wonderful little instruction manual showing where everything goes. Very nice, neat kit. We will be utilizing this. Alright, this first big bag is the usual stuff that we're familiar with now. You get, I don't know what this little paper is that you sign up for, but these are your masks for the canopy, which is really nice. And then you get the kit provided decals. And I was surprised to see that you have two sheets, and I guess that makes sense. These are pretty large decals and you have three different options. Now, this is the instrument panel per usual, and then down here below it, these little dots are the individual instruments. The only thing I was kind of thrown off by, I'm going to have to double check. I thought P-51s had like a yellow line or a red line squaring off your six-pack of critical instruments, but maybe I'm incorrect. I'll have to look some stuff up. Please comment down below. And then you have all your regular miscellaneous decals that go on, but these are super sharp. I'm looking forward to trying them out. And then of course we have our manual. This is once again available online. It's got a really cool look, very vintage. We're not going to spend a lot of time going through it because it basically covers the same thing that, including this fan club, that we've seen before in the other Zoukei-Mura instructions. What I like right away here in this first section, so this is all the main parts of the aircraft, and then down here you get a breakdown of all your sub-assemblies. Basically, this is the progression of the aircraft build. And then, you know, depending on which one you're doing here, Miss Maryland, Old Crow, or Red Dog the 7th. Old Crow is real classic, but I'm not partial. I'm more about how the aircraft looks. In fact, if I was going to build one of these three, just as a personal thing, I'd probably build Red Dog the 7th because 12th. Red Dog the 12th because I like I just like the look of the paint job on it more so than these other two. That's just a personal thing. All right, so you start with the engine and begin the build. And we'll look at all these parts, but here you're really assembling, you know, the cylinder block and the crankcase and your oil pan and everything and sliding it all together. And then over here it shows you what it should look like when you're done. And then at the bottom of the page you have the finished item. So these are nice. As you move along, you get some color guidance. More assembly here. The fuselage interior. This is going to be relevant for us later because we'll do a cutaway. And then we get into the fuselage exterior. And this is important because I'm going to do a cutaway. What I'm planning on is doing the opposite of the other models. This side is going to be covered because this is where it will say Big Beautiful Doll and I want it to look finished. The left side of the aircraft, aircraft left. The right side of the aircraft is where my cutaway will be. That's the plan. And so we may have to play with these parts, given their shapes, to achieve the cutaway that we want. But here you can see kind of how the panels all to go together, and you just got to make some decisions and finish up your aircraft. The wing assembly is kind of going to be a big deal. We're going to take a look at this piece later on here in a minute. And then, yeah, you go ahead and put her all together. And then I'm not going to bore you with all this, get to the back of the aircraft. Back here we get into our markings. Again, color photos. So that you see where everything needs to go. And then this page, this is your stencil decals. So this page is, no matter what aircraft you're putting together, you need to put all of these decals on in these positions. This is like your default stuff, right? Coming out of the factory, it's going to have this. And then if you want to paint your aircraft up with these different markings, that's what you do. So I would probably start, that's a good question. You got to look at this. Maybe the thing to do is to put these decals on first. I got to read the instructions. They might tell you, put these all on first, paint it, and then come back. Yeah, you'll want to paint it because you have things that go on top of the different colors. So that's it. That's all that's in this really nice. And then you get your inventory sheet. Really nice Super Wings series instruction booklet. And it's got this real cool vintage cover to it, which I like. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at some of our sprue parts. Okay, here's our first piece I wanted to take a look at, and that's the skin of the aircraft. My first comment is this gray, it shouldn't matter. This is not my favorite color gray. It's a little bit lighter or more yellow than the German airplanes I've reviewed, and I don't know if it's a different type of styrene or what, but I don't love this. I guess that's a point. It's not super important, but I don't know. It's coming to me to mention. Now, what I do like, let's zoom in here on the wing. There's very little rivet detail. You've got a little bit right here, and I think we have a little, maybe there, somewhere else. Oh, there, along that edge. This is correct. My understanding is the Mustang rivets that were there were smoothed over, puttied over, whatever they had to do, and then you painted so that you had the cleanest airfoil possible, which is correct. Down your flaps, you've got some rivets. I don't know if that's that might be top and bottom there. And then same here with the bottom of the wing, mostly smooth, which is correct. There's a few injection pin marks, injection hole marks, but I don't know if we're going to see those. And even if you do, depending on what you're doing with your model, swipe a little putty on there. This is something that's really easy to fix. I do like this. I want to point this out. This detail that you'll see here in the landing gear bay. Got some nice wiring done. That's a nice little feature. Alright, press on our next piece. Alright, here we are with some of our engine parts, framing, and the wing. Right away you should notice that the plastic changed colors. This is more of a metallic look. I don't really know why Zoukei-Mura did this. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's all got to get painted. So, I don't know. They did it. So, this is cool. This is like the frame that goes around the exterior of the engine. That's a nice piece. We got some big lines here that run around. I'm not totally sure what they're for. And then this is the area around the bottom of the engine. Nice detail there. I think this is our rear landing gear mechanism. And then our, the engine supports for the Merlin. So here's our wing. It's all one piece. It's got your dihedral in there and everything. And there's a lot of detail on here. Some of this stuff's got to get cut away, but got some injection pin marks right here that will need to be filled potentially. But yeah, interesting. Nice detail. I don't really know why they switched colors, but they did. And a lot of this stuff looks really sharp. Alright, pressing on. Alright, you'll find two packages like this that have your clear parts in them. And that's because they have 3 different canopy shapes depending on the model that you're building. I'm just going to pull these out here real quick. So we'll set them down. I'll talk about them briefly. So here's your clear instrument panel per usual that you can use as one of the ways to put your instrument panel together. Very nicely molded leading windscreen detail here. Now, the main windows, the main canopy here, they look fantastic, especially I like right here you've got where your radio antenna comes out and there's a little hole. But can you see it? There's a seam line. Very disappointed to see that. It's so subtle. I'm having to point it out. If I go to here, it's gone. Can't even tell. Right? That's 1 foot. Same with the other one. So we have a different shape canopy. Curves up, then comes across. You get that little bubble in the back there. This one's a little bit more streamlined, right? And then this one's got a huge bubble to it, a huge arch right here. So you'll have to make sure you put the right one on the right aircraft. But again, you can just make out that seam. I'm slightly disappointed about it. Hopefully it's just on the top, and I've got some high grit sandpaper. We'll just buff that all out, and it'll be fine. We'll get it back to looking like this all the way through. It would have been nice if they had somehow been able to avoid that seam, but it's still super sharp and clean otherwise. Okay, pressing on. Okay, so this is a cool piece. This is a lot of the flight deck interior. So let's start here. 2 seats, one without seat belts, one with. I don't know if we can get photo etch ones or if there's in decals. These molded ones, I don't think they look very bad if you do a really nice paint job on them. There's your traditional, if you want to just paint it up, instrument panel. Some switches. I think those look very nice. Let's see here. I don't know what all that is, but it looks exciting. This will be more interesting from the other side. This looks like your cockpit right side, I think. Maybe left side. Left side, I believe. Some of the interior parts detail here for the frame. Some wheel parts, some landing gear. I did not get the metal landing gear for this aircraft because I think the way it's oriented will be fine, and it's nice and beefy looking. I don't think it'll be an issue at all. We got some O2 tanks, other interior parts, all of our exhausts for the engine to put in, some valve covers, some gear parts. This looks like we have two different configurations here for the control sticks. I don't know if they're duplicates. Oh, here's the difference. So this one's covered. This one is uncovered. That's the difference right there. It's a neat option. Alright, and then here's the other side of the cockpit. I think that's the right side of the aircraft compared to the left. I think that's neat. Looks good. Alright, next couple pieces here. Alright, we're going to go back to our regular background, and I'm not going to pull these out. There's nothing too crazy to see here except that we switched to all black. I don't know why, but they did. The wheels, they're nicely done. Got good treads on them and everything. Here's your main engine parts. They look nice. Some of your supercharger. And then just a bunch of little engine details that we're going to end up priming and painting a different color, I suspect, ultimately. Alright, and then this one's neat. Here's our prop. Looks good. Hub's all put together nicely. But here's all your 50 caliber Browning machine guns. I know they did the other guns and the other models, but it's just kind of neat to see them all here in 1/32 scale, all molded, and as far as I could tell, ready to go. They look neat. Then we have our ammunition belts up here, ready to be installed with the ammo. And then that's basically it. We've got a few other random pieces. This is what I was talking about with the color being slightly lighter. A few other random parts in here. Miscellaneous things that go together with the kit. We'll see that. Alright, so final thoughts. Let's do that. Okay, so what do I think? It's a really cool model. Now, inside the box, I was slightly disappointed in the different colored styrene. Does that really matter? Should it matter? I don't think so. But I think what's happening is I'm likening back to kits when I was a kid, where the assumption was you didn't have paint. Maybe you weren't going to paint it, and so they would try to help you out by changing the color of the parts so that they all matched up a lot better. You could just put it together that way, right? Those tended to be less expensive kits and not as good, right? I think I'm just predisposed to kind of thinking that way, even though that's not the truth about what's going on here. Although, ironically, this was the least expensive kit of the three that I purchased. So, take that as you will. Why did I buy this, though? I think I mentioned it in the big loot haul video that we did. They had a kit built up there on display. I didn't take a picture of it. I should have. And it looked like a real P-51D Mustang. It looked like the real thing. The lines were incredibly graceful. They all made sense. It looked like the real aircraft. Now, I'm not saying other models don't look like it too, but this was very convincing. Something about it really struck me. And I have, in 1/48 scale, I should pull it out. I probably will when I start this build. I built Big Beautiful Doll. I bought Aftermarket Decals for it. This was probably, oh man, we're probably 20 years ago. I think it's a Tamiya kit, and I bought Aftermarket Decals for it, and I painted it up, and I did the best job that I could because I like that look, and I've just always had that in my collection, and it looks great. It's a wonderful airplane. It's a wonderful model. This looks better. The 1/32 scale version of this built up looks better, so that's why I bought it. I think the detail is there. I liked what they're doing. I really like the book. This paired with the model, I think, will enhance the experience exponentially. You can build a killer model out of the box. Just go ahead and follow the instructions. It'll look great. But this really will tell you what's going on, help you understand what the parts of the aircraft are, what they mean, how they go together, how they were painted, what colors they chose and why, because they talk about that in here. Some things in here have been restored, and the emphasis was on restoring the part, and then it needed to be painted a color so that it didn't corrode or rust or do whatever, and so they painted it a color, and that doesn't correspond with wartime colors necessarily, but they tell you that in here, so you can decide what's best for you in your model. I'm excited about this kit. I'm going to do it differently than the other two when we get to it, but yeah, I don't know. I might. This is another one where I may build several because I want to expose the inside of the aircraft. That's really the point of the Zoukei-Mura kits. But then maybe just build one up, right, where I just remove all of the engine cowls and covers, right, and then the whole rest of the fuselage is there, and we open up some gun bays, a little bit more of a traditional display of some of the goodies that this aircraft has. I don't know. It's much more affordable than the other kits, so you can, that's a relative term, but it's less expensive than the other ones, so maybe it can get more. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'm rambling here a little bit. Let me know in the comments what you think down below. I'm excited about it. I think this is a great alternative to the 1/32 scale models that are out there. I'd like to compare them. I'd have to track down. It's certainly better than the Revel kit. I don't know if Tamiya makes a 1/32 and Trumpeter. I don't remember what the... Comment down below with what the alternatives are, because if you just want to build a 1/32 scale aircraft the normal way with the exterior, these aren't really the kit for you unless you want to build up all this stuff that's going to be hidden. I don't want to hide it. We're going to expose it. That's the whole point. And I think that is the point of these aircraft kits, besides just having the full experience of, yeah, I want to build the frame and I want to put the skin on top of it. I want to put all the little parts inside and understand how the airplane works and cover it up. You could do that. And if you really got excited, you could put magnets on everything so you could take all the covers off if you wanted to. That would, lengthen the amount of time you invested into the model, but you could do that. So anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.